do you remember the thrill of ripping a pack of cards, hoping to pull like your favorite player or your favorite team, or that feeling of finally sticking the last sticker into your NHL book and completing your entire book? Back in the mid 80s, and I guess you could say the early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s, sports cards weren't just a hobby. At least for me, they were like a way of life when I was a kid. Whether it was trading with friends in the playground, whether it was trading with friends at like a local little league or after your baseball game, or even at a local card shop and scouring the shelves of a local card shop in your local town or your city, whatever you're going to be, every pack you opened really told a story, and you can tell a story on what you opened and maybe what you wanted to trade when you got into the future. So today we're going to take a trip down memory lane because all the comments I have been reading are like, I used to do this and do that, and I loved doing this when I was a kid. And so I wanted to make a video, like a nostalgia video, and taking a trip down memory lane and reliving what made collecting so special back, at least when I was a kid or when you were a kid, and how it helped us and shifted us and shaped us into the collectors that like we are today. So, and why you'll really never look at sports cards the same way again. The first thing I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about was, let's set the tone and look at what was popular back in the late 80s, early 90s. In baseball, you had the 1989 Upper Deck. That was the most popular, at least when I was a kid, because you had Ken Griffey Jr. and he was an up-and-coming superstar, and we wanted to get his rookie card no matter what pack we opened. We were looking for his card and his rookie card. No matter if it was a lot of money, not a lot of money, whatever that could be, we were always looking for Ken Griffey Jr. That was the main thing we were looking for. And even in like the Topps 1987, I was a little bit younger for that, but 1987, they had that iconic wooden border around there, and everybody wanted those cards, and they were very popular. I was 6, but I mean, in 1989, I'm 8, 9 years old, and now I'm trying to figure out, okay, what cards do I want to get? What cards is my cousin getting? What's he want? And we always went back and forth on the cards that we wanted to get. Griffey, Bo Jackson, all these different kind of cars that are found in like the 1989 Upper Deck. And it was like Bo Jackson was like the first person that went from like football and played 2 sports, like 2 professional sports. And that was like amazing in itself. And he was great, great football player. So, I mean, it was crazy how that happened. And then basketball, 1986, I didn't collect much basketball when I was a kid, right? But I knew 1986, obviously, that was Jordan. That was his rookie year. So everyone wanted the Fleer 1986 Jordan rookie. And then the Skybox came out in like 1990 when I was about 10. And I always remember kids having the Skybox, and that design was like unparalleled. That was like a great first design compared to all the existing designs in the 80s. And it was like totally took the cake for like the best design in the early 90s. Hockey, we always looked at 1990, 1991, the Upper Deck. I wanted Pavel Bure. I wanted Fedorov. I wanted these rookie cards in 1990, 1991, the Upper Decks. And that's the ones we were always looking for and trying to trade for and get some like local teams where I used to live. I was always near the Flyers. And I would try to get some Flyers and then wait outside of practice, get them to sign the cards and things like that. Like, I think it's a lost form now that kids don't really do a lot. I know kids that, I know don't do that, and they just kind of find the autos in the packs now. So back then we had to actually go to the places and get them to sign it, and then they would have to look at the signature. Is that the right signature? Or is that just like, my cousin signing the card? So like a lot of things we had to look at. Football, before my time in 1984 Topps, you had Elway, you had Marino. They were rookies. 1989 Pro Set was a popular set that everybody wanted to look for in the popular cars during the 80s and late 90s. So we set the tone. Now we're looking at, okay, where can I find these cards? Where's the thrill at? What am I doing? And before you start looking at like where to find these cards, even today, it's hard to find when these things are coming out. So what we're doing as Sports Card Hustlers is making a Sports Card Insider group. And that just means that if you comment Insider, we will give you a link. And that link, you can put your email address in there. And every day, every week, every 2 weeks, we'll send you an email on when the restocks are, when the release dates are on these important boxes and things like that. So you can keep up to date on when you want to find these things. But right now, the craze is the Pokemon, right? And everyone's waiting outside for Pokemon. People were sitting in the cafes and Target waiting for Pokemon and like remotely working in Target. So like, and when they restock the shelves, they run over there and get all the Pokemon and resell them, the flippers. So I mean, that's crazy right now. that's 2025 that we're looking for Pokemon cards, and it's like going crazy. And the same thing's happening with one of these things coming out. So that's Insider Group. If you become an insider, that's a cool thing that you guys can do to stay up to date with all this kind of crazy stuff that's going on. We don't really get into Pokemon, but more so sports cards. So the thrill of the hunt, it was my title for my next thing, and I wrote down, like, where did we get cards? Like, when I was a kid, like, I always think, like, when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, like, there wasn't Walmarts, there wasn't Targets, there wasn't these big retail outlets. So where do we get cards? It may seem like, if you're watching this and you're 21 years old, it may seem like a silly question, but I mean, looking back, like, where do we get all these cards at? And there was one local card shop in my hometown where they carried cards, but they weren't like blaster boxes. They weren't like hobby boxes. They were just like card packs. And you get card packs, and then, I would go after the stickers a lot, and then like try to finish my NHL sticker book, or like Topps cards or Bowman cards, or whatever that could be, and just build them up and go for your favorite team, and then put them in your binder and put them in your favorite team. Like, local card shops were like the main thing to go to. We also had like Kmart. We had J.C. Penney. We had Sears, maybe like mail order stuff. Malls we had that had like sports car stores in the malls. But I mean, there wasn't any of these big retail like that we have now that you can go get there wasn't even any blaster boxes. So it was like, remember Sears, we used to order like our Nintendo games through Sears, and it used to take like forever to get them. And we're like, go there every day. They'd like Zelda come in, or did like Mario Brothers come in, and we're like waiting. And it was like waiting for like 20 years. I remember ordering like Blades of Steel from the original Nintendo, and it took like months to get in, and it finally came in. And that was like, we had to order things through the catalog and through the Sears catalog. So I'm not sure if we order sports car stores through Sears catalog. Maybe you can comment, let us know where you guys found stuff when you were a kid, if you can remember back that far. I mean, it's been 35 years for me, so I kind of forget kind of where we got stuff, but it was definitely local card shops. Even gas stations, convenience stores had like packs on the side. We would get packs on the side and grab stuff through there, like Flea and Skybox and all those things too. Definitely at like the games, they always like, you go to like a sports game, they always had cards there, so that was like another avenue we can get cards. Magazine ads, sometimes they had magazine ads where you would call a number and order a box of cards or things like that. So like things like that where we got them, it was very hard, very slow process to get these cards and to get the ones you wanted. And it wasn't just like going to the store and getting them real fast usually, because sometimes you had local card shops that were sold out, and it was a struggle to get a lot of things that you wanted compared to now, even though they sell out a lot now. But at least they were, you had blaster boxes and mega boxes and fat packs and value packs and all at Walgreens. You got Ace Hardware, you got GameStop, you got Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble. You got all these different kind of crazy places you never thought would actually carry cards. And that's, that was like the thrill of the hunt, to try to find these different places. Comic stores we used to go to all the time. In comic stores, look for that Superman, the first comic, and try to get that at a good deal, and then try to see if they had sports cards as well. So like hobby shops and things like that would help us out and try to find cards when we were kids. But that was like really the only way we can find these things. I'm not sure if Kmart had cards or not. But anyway, we had also friend trading. Kids bring in cards now, and they trade with their friends. But I mean, like, we would go and like during recess, during playground, we would bring in elementary school, I would have cards in my pocket, bring them out and lay them on a table, and like, look at these cards I got. Who do you guys want? What do you want? Who do you want to trade for? Who you want? We would trade all the time with these cards. And that was awesome, because like, you're building community, you're building camaraderie, you're doing this, I'll give you 2 for 1, and you can see the value of the cards, who wants what card. And that was a really cool thing. It's kind of like, it's a lost art now, that not many kids do, because you have eBay, you have Breakers, you have TikTok, you have all these different kind of things online now that you don't really see the hand-in-hand thing with the kids. But I mean, what I'm trying to do with my class is trying to bring cards back into it, and like, they can win packs of cards if they're doing a couple different things in class, good things, good deeds in class, and they can win cards, and that can bring that back into the hobby. So hopefully, in at least my area, I can kind of start bringing stuff back to them. The value. Sometimes you have more sentimental value. You have more, sometimes that outweighed more of the book value. Maybe the Beckett book said this card's worth $25, but and this card's worth $5, but this card is more special to you because it's like your favorite hometown player or wherever that could be, and you didn't really want to trade that card. So I mean, that was a cool thing that I remember that we used to do, at least for the kids, and we were kind of trading for the kids how we used to do that. um, Creating house rules. Like we have all these cards left down, and we would say, okay, once I trade this, you can't trade it back to me. So it's like no backsies. Maybe you had to do a team for a team or whatever that could be, or you open packs for your friends and you say, okay, you get this team, I get this team, so on and so forth. And we would create like house rules in class or in gym, or not in gym, but like in playgrounds or in all that stuff, and then try to create different things that are happening around the school, and then trade for like your favorite players. That was a pretty cool thing that we used to do. Um, and then we would have, there goes life off the dance class. Stores, we used to like get like what friends got, and they would say, okay, they came back and they found these packs at this store. I said, as soon as I got home, I would go to that store, like, Mom, Dad, we got to go to this store and see if they got packs left. And they sometimes they had it, sometimes they got sold out, and we would kind of like rush there, and just how it is now. It's like kind of a crazy rush. You have to know when the release dates are and all that stuff. But you know, that puts you on the hunt, and that puts you on like I want to try to find this, Griffey. I want to try to find this Bo Jackson or Michael Jordan, or wherever that could be. And that was, I remember going back and looking back now, and like the nostalgia factor is like, if I never did that, I probably would never be in the sports card, field now, doing all these videos with you guys and talking to you guys all the time, because my childhood was like growing up with sports and growing up doing sports cards and play all different kind of sports, and then trying to play Nintendo games. And then, oh, this person I had, Bo Jackson on Techno Bowl. I want to get his card because no, he's unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? Um, and like things like that. I remember looking back, and that was like great times that we used to do. And friend trading was a thing I definitely miss. Right? Misconceptions I wrote down regarding value. I always thought, at least this is me, and this is probably me being stupid, right? Whatever. But I always thought that every card that I got was going to be worth a fortune when I was younger. Like if I got, just some random person on the Flyers, or this random person on the Eagles, or this person on the Rams, or wherever that could be, or on the Giants, wherever that could be, I always thought that was going to be worth, a fortune, thousands of dollars, or maybe $100. I thought was a fortune, back then. And obviously, after the 90s and the wax pack era, the overproduction definitely made all the value go down. And like I had all these Lindros cards. I have like all his rookie cards. I have like 20, 30, 40 rookie cards from Lindros. And, if he never would have got hurt and would have been like, what they said he was going to be, he probably would have like, expensive cards now. But now his cards weren't really worth much at all anymore. But, the overproduction of that, like, oh, I got a Lindros card, but now there's also 100,000 of these made, and that just kind of, made the value go down a lot. And that was the wax pack era in like the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. But unique collectibles, I wrote that down because like collecting things like it's not always necessarily just sports cards, but in relation to sports cards, I just have these sticker books. And I don't know if you guys have these or not, but I have like, it had like Wayne Gretzky on the front and on the cover. And it would have like, you would buy like packs of cards, but they would be like stickers. And you would get the stickers, and you would say, okay, this Wayne Gretzky card is number one. You go through the book and try to find number one and stick it in there on the LA Kings or the Edmonton Oilers, or whatever that could be. And then stick it in there and try to find all the entire book. And I don't think I ever completed the entire book, because I did like the 90s, early 90s, 90, 91, 91, 92, maybe 89, 90, like the NHL. I'm not sure if baseball had that or not. I didn't do baseball. I just did hockey. But, me being me and nostalgia, I went on eBay, looked at, it was like $5 for one of those books that were not, just like, not brand new, but no stickers in it. And then I ordered like 10 packs, which is like $5. And I'm going to give them to Ty or Ella and let them do the sticker book, like give them one each, and then let them do it. Because I always love doing that and trying to find the stickers. I'm not sure if they still do them now. I saw them like in like the late 2000s, 2015, 2017, 2019. I'm not sure if they're doing them now still, the sticker books. But I always liked doing that. They weren't much of value, but it was still doing it and like learning the players and And it was just fun doing that stuff and sticking these things in players, and then bringing your book to school and be like, look at all these ones, and I need this one, this one, this one. And then your friend had that one, and you trade for them because you had doubles of this one. I mean, it's just a whole cool thing that I used to do when I was a kid, and we used to do it with all our friends when we were kids, and maybe you did too. So it was a really neat thing to do. But like unique collectibles, cereal box cards, we used to cut on the back of the Lucky Charms or Pops, whatever that could be, and have like cards back there and cut them out. Coca-Cola had like a series of sponsored cards. They had like racing cards and things like that. But other than that, that was a pretty cool, unique thing that wasn't just like just traditional sports cards, but also like variation of different sports cards. It was pretty cool. Organization. What did I do when I organized stuff back when I was in the late 80s, early 90s? What was there to have? I remember, it's funny, but I used to have shoeboxes. I would just throw all my crap in the shoebox, all my cards in the shoebox. And it was just like, here they are. And they would all be mixed up. And then, when I started to organize all these things 2 years ago, I was like, Rick, what were you doing? What were you doing when you were 10 years old? Because you were not organized at all. Maybe some of you are like that now. But I mean, I organized all of them. It took me like all summer to organize all these things. And then now I have them all organized, all my NHL cards, baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards, even racing cards. I have them all organized now in like these bigger boxes. But they didn't have bigger boxes like that when we were kids. We just had shoe boxes. I had mom or dad's shoebox, throw all the stuff in there. We had binders, and we would put it like team in the binder, but the corners would get all mussed up, and they would get all bent up in these binders. So they're not really the best thing to use. Like these card guards now. I guess they're in relation to the card guards now. I used to bring them to school and put a big rubber band around them and put them in my book bag. Looking back, I'm like, what the heck are you doing, right? All these cards and all these bent up corners and the rubber band in the middle, bending the cards up. But I mean, we didn't care about that stuff. We just cared about, like, I have Bo Jackson, I have Ken Griffey Jr., and whatever. And now I'm trading. I have 2 of these. I might trade this one and then get like 5 good cards back or whatever that I thought they were good. So I mean, we didn't care about bent corners or centered things. And so as when my kids open up stuff, I try to kind of stay away from like being on top of them, being like, yo, watch out for these corners, watch out. I mean, I talk to them about it, but I just let them open up, let them have fun. Like when I was a kid, and just let them have fun opening up things. And hopefully, more kids are doing that and not having like, I've seen some videos where like, the mom or the dad or the uncle or the cousin or whoever it's like with the kids, they're like, okay, give me the card. Okay, give me the card. Okay, give me this card. All right. And they're like, you can't even touch them. They're like, and it's just like, it's getting outrageous. Just let the kids open cards and have fun. That's the whole point of doing this hobby, is the kids' hobbies. I mean, whatever. But that's just me talking, right? But we have evolved so much since the late 80s, with packing our cards up and rubber banding our cards, which is crazy to think about now. We also used to go to flea markets a lot. My mom used to love going to flea markets and going and finding like all kind of wild stuff that to put in the house. And I'll be there looking for sports cards and video games and toys and, and all that stuff when I was 10 years old. And I mean, almost every town had a flea market. And that really, without knowing it, was our first job. Like we used to have all our cards, and then we would go to like the local church, or the church would have like a flea market in the parking lot. And we would set up tent, like me and my cousin or our friends, and have all our cards laid out, and like have them and look at the Beckett card and see what they were, and probably kind of stay near that price, or so on and so forth. And you wheel and deal, and you make money, and you come back with $50, $100, and you're like, oh man, look at all the money I just made on these cards, right? Looking back, probably I sold some of the cards that were worth probably like $200-$300 now. But I mean, it was still cool to kind of start understanding the funds, the monetary aspect of the actual hobby, how you can get money back, how much those cards are worth, why are they worth this, why are they worth that. So that was a really cool thing to do, and that was like our first job without even knowing it. But we used to do that a lot, even like selling toys and selling games and things like that too. It's the same kind of thing, and that's why I like do a lot with money and teach about money now because of that when I used to do. So like the whole point of this video was like we're come full circle now. I mean, a lot of you guys that watch this are like my age, and we've come full circle when we were kids. Maybe you're new to the field. Maybe COVID got you into it, right? And now you're back, or maybe you had a 30-year hiatus and you're back. And it's totally different now than it was when we were kids, but it's still the same philosophy. Opening cards, hoping to find a pretty cool card, your favorite player, use that favorite player, maybe do some trades and things like that. I mean, it's a kid's hobby, and we have to memorize. We have to like look back and see, okay, what did I used to feel when I was a kid? Um, I had a time when I was a kid that really like caught my attention when I was like a little bit older, and I was sitting at like a card show, and I had like an older gentleman came up to me, and he gave me this whole entire box of cards, and he's like, I used to open up these with my son, and then we're not doing it anymore, and I'm going to give them to you because I see you've been opening cards and you're with your dad and things like that. And that really like went to my heart because it's eventually going to end. So if you keep on opening stuff with your kids and you keep on doing stuff with your kids, and then they'll do it with their kids and do it with their kids, you can pass down all the things that you have been doing, and then they can remember you by that. But I mean, that really hit home because he was done, and he wasn't doing any more with his kids. His kids were older and they didn't really care about the cards, so he wanted to give those cards to somebody that cared about it. And I still have them to this day. Like they were like the 1979 tops. Some of them, they were like a whole box of them. So I mean, the baseball. So that was a thing that I always remember back. And when I'm making these videos, I try to remember back on what I used to do, and how that kind of affected my life when I was a kid. And then hopefully you can kind of use that story to prolong your experience with your kids or your friends or your cousins or whoever you're opening cards with. So that's the main thing that wanted to do this nostalgia video, to have you guys, I guess, look back with me and laugh about some things, care about some things, and understand how the hobby has grown, but we still have to look back to our roots and know where we came from. But other than that, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Again, Comment Insider to get that email list, and you can kind of see when the release dates are coming out. But other than that, let us know what you guys think again in the comments, and we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.